Hello everybody, it's Holger Müller here from Constellation Research with my fabulous co-host Liz Miller. Hey Liz, what's 2023 doing for you?
Oh gosh, 2023 is just staying nice and calm. It is not turning into a grand dumpster fire of nonsense. So I'm going to take it. We're going to ride that wave. But more importantly, Holger, do you notice something a little bit different about our surroundings today?
It's so sparkling. We have a double
It's like
location.
Sparkly. It's festive.
Yes.
Episode.
It's, first of all, it's Happy Chinese New Year, right?
Happy Lunar New Year.
Lunar New Year. Happy Year of the Rabbit, everybody.
Happy Year of the Rabbit. If you are Vietnamese, Happy Year of the Cat. We made it to another year. It is supposed to be a year of prosperity, unless you're a whole bunch of things. Like, it's very confusing. Like, it's going to be a year of prosperity. It's going to be awesome, but it's going to be a little bit harder for you rabbits out there. And also rats like myself. We got to go and we got to do a little work. We got to make sure we're giving off good vibes, but hey.
And the other occasion is not so much lunar, vibe, wealth, whatever, but we made it to, unbelievably, 50 episodes of the show.
Episode 50. Listen, we really have to thank Doug and Dion and our previous hosts with Andy Thurai and Nicole France for getting us to 50. Yep. It's been 50 episodes cut up between all of us, but CRTV, we made it. We didn't give up 20. Scary. We're still here, people.
Scary. It's catching up.
You can't get rid of us.
No? It's getting scary.
I think this thing might stick. Yeah, we're gonna keep doing it. But as we do with every episode, my friend, let's talk about the news.
Let's talk about the news, yeah. And the news are kind of like gloomy, right? So who is looking yet?
It's a little. Is there anybody left? There's lots of people left.
No, I mean not letting people go. I mean. Which is, of course, unfortunate. We feel sorry for everybody who's affected. But on the bright side, this might be really the chance, because we talk about the Great Resignation. It could be the Great Reassessment, which I refer much more. So do you really want to work for a tech company, right? Aren't there not great end-user companies in other parts of the country which may not have such great weather, but have lower cost of living, better work-life balance? Isn't it time to change hats and go from the vendor side to the user side?
Yep. But I also think that this feels really familiar, and you and I have seen this cycle before, right? Not that, I mean, you and I, now granted, you and I are like super spring chickens, like we just got here. Wow, what is this technology thing? Oh my God, computers turn on and off. This is super cool. But you and I have seen this cycle a couple times now, right? And I think that there was a really great analogy for those of you who do not get a chance to regularly watch our sister program, our big sister, our big brother in Disrupt TV. There was a great conversation that was happening last week in a conversation around kind of this S-shaped learning curve, right? When things come up, they come down. And I watched this great interview with Jeremy Pope, who is in a terrific movie that has been much lauded. And he was talking about how he always used to worry about his emotions. They would go really high up and then really high down. So he was talking to his therapist about I'd really just like to be in the middle. And the therapist said, listen, your heartbeat is an up and a down. If you stay in the middle, you've flatlined. So maybe that's not where we want to, maybe that's not the goal of where we want to be. But I think of that a lot when I hear a lot about the conversations around the layoffs. We had heard the really big high, right? Pandemic brought these amazing sales cycles. We had great innovation cycles. We brought on a ton of salespeople because we just had to keep up with demand. We weren't going to get caught off guard by not being able to service all this demand. Transformation, oh my God, 5 years of transformation in 6 weeks. Oh my God, it's amazing. We're now at the downside of this. The pendulum has swung all the way down. We're at that bottom of that S curve. And, I think one of the really interesting things, and I think to your point, Holger, a lot of folks who are unfortunately seeing the downside of that and who have unfortunately kind of feel like they might be losing their way. They just lost their jobs, all of these things. Mm-hmm. I've been in that position again. And I can honestly say, you are either going to take that as an opportunity for your own transformation and your own launch. Do you find something else? Or do you do what a lot of these executives have done in the past, which is start something completely new, where now all of a sudden, think of all the business applications that we have today that were crazy ideas 15 years ago that were actually born on the heels of the .com bust and everyone from Excite.com getting showed the door. So yes. I think that we're kind of in that cycle. So I think a safe prediction is, yes, there are a lot of layoffs that are happening. The numbers feel really big, but when you look at the percentages, really you're looking at, on average, they're about 10%. It's a lot of the smaller companies that are kind of getting ready and trimming down that are in that 25 to 50%, Twitter being the kind of the outlier in that. But I think you're starting to see a lot of belt tightening. I think we're starting to get realistic about what's going to happen in the year ahead. But when you talk about what's going to start happening in that innovation and that disruption engine, that is just getting started, right? So all of a sudden, we're going to start to see all of these companies come out. I don't think so much in like the big sexy spaces. Like, I don't think we're going to see a bunch of like metaverse startups like all of a sudden start coming from, but I think we're going to start to see a lot of niche, whether it's in supply chain, whether it's in things like AI, whether it is in the application of those things, commercializing some of those. I think the innovation and the disruption engine is just starting. So for us,
you're mentioning one of the key things of the downturn, right? Sorry to jump in here, right? But just
do it.
Things have to really work. You can't just hype and gloss yourself over. Oh, we're doing AI. Oh, we have an AI solution now. What does it really do, right? So on the technologist side, I've seen the downturns bring out really interesting new technology that works, not just the hype cycle, right? Which proves itself. And that's great news for our customers, right? For the end users. Less hype, less marketing fanfare, more real products, right? Maybe better focus on products, which is also good, right? Instead of doing everything a little bit, which I think was one of the issues which the large tech vendors had during the pandemic, because they kept pushing everything and they were coddling employees, which is nice and good, right? They got a lot of government subsidies and help from that. And the good news was, right, everything was going up, right? The transformation fueled growth in the software industry and the cloud was a winner. I also think the cloud will remain a winner from this perspective, but the cloud percentage from a revenue perspective, the large tech vendors is not large enough for them not to take these precautionary, typically 5-6% layoffs, which by now seems to be, you said it correctly, right, Liz, the pressure from the investor side say, hey, don't you have a little bit too much, right? And then shall we talk about Twitter, right? I mean, if the number is correct, right, Twitter is running like this with 250 people. Down from 8,000?
Twitter, I think, is, again, I think Twitter's always going to be the anomaly because, yes, it's running, but is it running to make money? And that becomes the big question, because I think that's what you're going to start to look at. Because right now, they are running, but they are not making money. It's the business question, right?
For me, from the technology question, putting my product on, how many people do you need to build new product, which they're doing, and to keep the lights on? And so, but basically, if this is the bare minimum of 250, so that means 16 times more, 15 times more people for one active person who are doing the surrounding things, not just marketing, but content moderation, advertisement, government, liaising.
But you also have to. But I think Twitter's probably an unfair conversation for this, and so I'll veer us into another area, because I think that when we start to talk about, like the big news that's breaking this week, of course, is activist investors, kind of heading into Salesforce. I think Salesforce is with Elliott Management taking a stake in Salesforce. I think the headlines and the worry is going to be the rockiest part of that. But for Salesforce, this could actually be a really interesting and potentially good move for what Salesforce 2.0, what the next big incarnation of Salesforce is going to be, because you and I were talking about this before. It sharpens focus. It, yes, it tightens the belt. It asks people to do really uncomfortable things that kind of suck sometimes, right? It's not fun to lay people off. Right, like that's like that. It's not I have had to do it way too many times.
It's not Ohana.
It is not Ohana. It can be handled in Ohana, though, and I think that's where the difference comes in.
That's important.
When you've built a culture like you've built at Salesforce, you can make these hard decisions, yet do it in a way that has empathy and kindness and all the things that are really important to Salesforce. But it will focus what that next round of innovation and what that next round of release starts to look for. And I think, again, just like we're talking about in what those products start to look like, we're not the dreamer products, we're the application products, we're the things that work products. Salesforce.
And the good news is, for Salesforce, the foundation is there, right? Genie is genius, right? Somebody wrote the report. I'm just kidding.
Who was that? Oh my gosh, I think the guy's name was Holger Mueller.
It's the guy with the accent, right? The guy who runs around in polka shirts, right? So,
Doug, Doug Henshin technically has an accent, so let's not do that.
That's right. Yeah, he has a German accent too, right? A German last name.
But I think you're right. It's about what works and how do we sharpen that focus. I think that you're also going to hear a lot. There's lots of buzz around what's happening at Avaya, oh my god, they're bankrupt. Well, no, they're restructuring their debt, and those are two completely different things, right? Absolutely. So I think that over the next 6 months, I would encourage people as we're starting. Here we are at episode 50. I think the news and the kind of the headline starts to be, let's be really specific about what we're talking about here. Right. And there's a difference between being insolvent and going bankrupt and closing the doors and laying everyone off. And there's nothing left there, and restructuring. And so I think we're going to see a lot of restructuring over the next 6 months. I think you're going to start to see either layoffs, org changes, or you're going to start to see some type of proceeding, whether it's in court with something like filing a bankruptcy motion or restructuring out of court for those types of things. So I think what Avaya is doing right now is certainly that restructuring of their debt load, but they're still moving forward with applications and tools and cloud-based tools that work. So again, not so much the dream, but what are the things that work?
And I think the guidance for our end user customers is what seemed to be like the idea where you think, why are they doing this? Is this really gonna work? Well, money is cheap. Everybody wants to do this. Those things will probably be restructured, cut off, stopped, right? So in your buying decisions, or if you're running software in that part, if your vendor struggles to get to profitability, as a startup says, as much as I love startups, careful what you're going to bank on, because you might be there for a rude awakening. And with large portfolio companies, the same thing, right? There will be more or less ruthlessly having to focus on what brings in the money, what they have to invest going forward, and all these also runs, there will be some pruning.
Yeah. So as much as I teased you last year about 2022 being the year of business acceleration, it was the year of Holger. Is this year going to be the year of acceleration with purpose? Is this, because I think that's, last year, like, acceleration can be frenetic. And I think that's what we saw in 2022. What's your prediction for 23 so we can get out of here?
So 2023 is going to be the acceleration, because we always have to accelerate, because we do more with less and we do the right things better.
Yeah.
Instead of
I see it too. Yeah. I think it's going to be, it's funny because people are like, we're going to see so much innovation in these spaces. And I'm like, where we're going to see the innovation are in spaces that haven't really, if we're being honest, innovated in a decade. And they're going to make minor shifts, and we're going to call it innovation, which also isn't fair. But I think for the end users and the buyers, there's always going to be hype. There's always going to be some type of crazy, futurist, like what could happen out there in things like the metaverse. But I think we're now starting to see where those big concepts are turning real.
Absolutely.
Field service, in my world being two great places. Okay. That does it for the news. We've got a great episode for episode 50 coming up here. Stick with us for the fastest, longest 30 minutes into enterprise technology. Is that what we're going with now? I think that's our official tagline as we head into, as we start to race towards 100. But we're almost there, folks. Stick with us. We'll see you in a bit. Allison, congratulations. Thank you. Just recently won our Supernova Award. I'm so excited to talk to you. So listen, why don't you tell us a little bit about like the who you are and the what you do and who you do it for, and then use your super cool title of Jefe of CRM. If we can work that in there, it'd be great.
Okay. So a little quick introduction about me. I'm Allison Isurieta. I'm born and raised in Ecuador, but I had the privilege of studying abroad. I'm a Northeastern University graduate. I graduated with a business administration title, and I am back home being a jefe de CRM for Casa Vaca Toyota, which is the primary Toyota dealership here in Ecuador. And
love it.
What happened, how I landed this job is actually quite interesting, because I wasn't hired based on my experience. I wasn't hired based on what I know how to do, but I was hired based on this idea and this potential that I had at that moment. I was hired right before the pandemic started, and I was jumping into this role. I had no idea. So you can keep saying Jefe de CRM because I still don't know what it means or what I'm doing.
It's okay. No one does. It's okay.
Yeah, I'm just glad I get
Welcome to CRM.
Welcome to technology. I'm just glad I get to do it here. I'm just glad I have, the openness and the feedback and all the support that I've been having to create and develop all these technological products, a lot of support from my team. I do not come from a technology background. I come from a finance background. So it's been really quite interesting, and it's been such a fun, such a nerve-wracking, such an exciting ride to, put everything that we've been doing and being recognized. Last year we won Breakthrough Customer of the Year with Sugar CRM, which are our main partners, and now this. So it's just a huge jump, a huge leap that we have going on here.
You and the team definitely deserved it. So listen, I want you to kind of showcase for me a little bit about what were some of the big problems you guys were looking to solve? Because especially when it comes to automotive and selling, and you're with Toyota, I think there's kind of that traditional way of someone walked onto the lot, jump on them, make them buy a car. Like there's that attitude, but then there's this kind of new way of developing that relationship and having all of that data and having all that information ready for the organization. So tell us a little bit about kind of the challenges you were looking to face.
Yeah, so a lot of the things that you were saying are true, but they are especially true here in Ecuador, where we're very, very traditional. We are a country that hasn't 100% adopted, internet, e-commerce use, and people shop for very, pricey things in a very traditional way. I think that the pandemic, after all, really forced just the entire industry to move towards this more dynamic kind of sales funnel, and interactions with your customer were no longer, in person. So that's kind of how we moved, and we had this openness to try these new ideas, to integrate all our digital channels, to start coming up with new ways to connect with our customers, to having, instead of us waiting for the customer to show up, we would take the cars to the customer. If you want to test drive, we'll take it to your house. You need a video call, we'll video call the car. You can send pictures, you can fill out, finance documents, all, not having the customer present. But one thing was kind of having this idea, and then the other thing was making sure that you have a CRM, that you have this database that is solid enough for you to be able to keep track of every single interaction you have with the customer. So I think I think that I don't want to brag about it too much, but I think that
no, brag, do it.
I think we're pretty ahead of on our industry, even though in general our industry is pretty behind, and I'm talking about the US and everything, having these e-commerce things and everything. I think we're pretty behind, but after all, we are training our customers, because I think everyone was going through this transformation. So just to have the technology for us to be able to keep track and be like, oh, I already sent you this picture. Okay, you already talked to me about this. Okay, I'm taking the card to you. It really helped having, the technology, but also a customer that was, I guess, ready for this.
Yeah, but you also needed something where the tools and the solution that your teams were going to use, people within the organization, something that was easy enough for them to be able to use so they didn't feel intimidated by the technology, right? Like, 'cause this wasn't exactly something like, okay, we've been using this for so long, we know how to do it.
Yeah, and it's hard because we always say, the end customer, the person that purchases the car is always going to be, our main user. But actually for our CRM, it's not, it's the salesperson. And the salesperson is this extremely, I was going to say complicated, but I'm going to say unique. And they want things fast, they want things simple. They're very specific about whether they're going to use it or not, because they can just as easily say, you know what, no, I'm sticking to the pen and pencil and I'm calling all these people and I'm selling the way I want to sell. So you have these both sides, you have making sure that the end customer has a seamless experience, but also the user adoption that we have in-house is also seen as an advantage. So we had a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun testing, do you think this is too long? Do you think there's too many steps? Should we automate here? Should we get data from this place and then put it here? So it was very, experimental, I guess, and doing it, right after the pandemic as well, having your salesperson sitting down and giving you feedback. So you have a bunch of personalities that you have to meet the standards.
But that speaks a lot to the flexibility that you were looking to get out of the technologies that you were implementing, right? That it was something that could allow you to have that agility and flexibility that, hey, if it didn't work, change it. And there wasn't all this like repercussion on the back end of that, like
right,
and fail because you changed
right, and we didn't have to like delete and then do it again, and and I am a big shout out to my team, my team of developers. We have a very small team. There's 4 of us, there's 4 of us in our team, and we managed to put out this whole system. It's because I guess when you have also these perspectives, I can already tell, this isn't going to work here or there. So make sure that the system that we're developing can go either this way or this way, but then at the end it's going to meet halfway. So yeah, we're very focused on flexibility, and we also leverage the fact that Sugar CRM lets us do that. We're not tied to like certain modules. We're not tied to like this is the only way you can integrate. We've just put a lot of our own development outside and then just put it in seamlessly. So we've never had any problem, with us adding our flexibility and our personalization, because the way that we sell cars is very specific to our own company even.
Yeah, I love that. So what's next? What's the next hill that you're going to climb in technology in this transformation? I mean, is there something that comes after Jefe? I don't know. Like, I don't
Owner.
know. Owner. Oh!
No. I wish. No. Really, just pretty much general manager, like director, like C-suite level comes after Jefe. So I think I'm not stuck here. I am enjoying the view from here for now. And I think that because we're putting out, these big projects, high impact projects, we're jumping onto new things. So one of the things that we're coming up right now is our maintenance and our after sales program. After you buy the car, right? And then that's where you actually make money. One thing is you sell the car, but then I see the customer 2-3 times a year. That's where you keep the relationship going. So actually our next step, and hopefully I get to chat with you, Liz, next year when we launch it, because we're very close to finishing it, is to have this personalization as well, because I'm not only interested in you going to your maintenance, I'm also interested in selling you, insurance, new accessories, and building this relationship so that at the end of 4 or 5 years, I can buy back the car and then you can renew your vehicle.
I love it.
So that's what's coming up for us, and I'm excited to share. Hopefully we can have another conversation.
I love it. Well, Allison, listen, to you and your entire team and everyone at Casablanca Toyota, congratulations. You've put in the hard work, and we're super excited about that next conversation and what comes next.
Thank you, Liz, very much for your time.
Hello everybody, it's Holger Müller here from Constellation Research with my fabulous co-host for this long 50, Liz Miller. Hey Liz.
What's happening, Holger? We have got an amazing new guest in the salon.
Exactly, a man of culture, a man of the Commonwealth, and a man of Ceridian, nobody else than David Ossip. Thanks for being here, David.
Hey guys, pleasure to be here today. Thanks for having me.
Are you ready for the fastest 5 questions in enterprise software?
I think I'm doing well here. I've got the list up in front of me. All 50 questions or so. I'm ready to go.
Excellent. And you're our guest, David, so you can pick the first category, ask the first question, can say if you want the answer from Liz or me.
Great. I'm going to go for Liz. Liz, who was your personal hero?
Oh, my dad. That's the easy one. My dad, absolutely. I guess it's a combination of my dad and my mom. I mean, my mom's kind of a badass, if I'm allowed to curse for a second. Came from Korea, ended up with a PhD in gerontology and sociology, kind of did it all on her own, and managed to not mess up, hopefully, a kid too badly. So definitely mom or dad, always right up there on the top. Okay, David, what's your least favorite word?
No.
Okay.
No.
Oh, interesting.
I like that. Okay, David, you got to fire another one off.
Okay, I'm going to go after Holger over here. If you had to take another job, what would it be?
Good one, yeah. No, I love the industry analyst job, but I probably would go maybe back to building software. Maybe if I can pull it up, be a coach of something. Maybe go back to volleyball. Maybe go back to fitness or something. Not sure if you can make a living with that, but that's what I would get back for. This was in the career category, David?
That was a career category.
Yeah, okay. So my question for you, what trait has helped you most in business?
Persistence.
And how do you
I
learn
like the
that?
persistence and the no. Like I'm getting a general trend here, David, that there was not a whole lot of stopping you.
There's no persistence here.
Yeah, no's different. No's an obstacle to moving forward. And often if you're someone like me where you create businesses, you are going to come across a lot of people who will give you reasons as to why it's not possible, why it can't be done. And if you want to disrupt, you have to move forward. So you need to see possibilities. Persistence goes hand in hand because as in most things in life, it takes a long time to get going. And there's a lot of times where you're exhausted and you're tired and it might not be going well and you might have to reboot and go a different direction. But I find that if you just stay with it and persist with it, with kind of a sense of optimism, you overcome and you do stuff. And that's been my philosophy.
Love that. Love that. Okay, questions yours.
Great. I'm going to go to the next one. I'm going to go back to Liz over here. And let me try this one. If you can choose starting tomorrow, work in the office or work from home?
Well, I think that's probably the unfair question since all of Constellation is virtual. So I think it would be a massive culture shock for all of us if we had to work in the office. That, and I'm not sure Holger and I would get a whole lot done because we'd be nitpicking and arguing with each other too much because that's just us. But it's interesting. I will say, socially, I'm a person who likes the office, but for like actual work and focus, which I really need in this job, I'm saying staying at home. It's been a good path.
You just moved home, right? So did you upgrade your home?
I did. No, a little bit. Yeah, upgraded the home, upgraded the office a little bit, so I'm enjoying it. Okay. What was your favorite job so far in your career?
I haven't had many jobs, would be the way that I would describe it. The one job I had coming out of college lasted only a few weeks. At the time, I was working in a bank and saw an opportunity to do something a bit different. And so kind of wrote a piece of software, went back to the bank, resigned and sold them the piece of software.
Okay.
Overall, I wouldn't put myself as a kind of an A+ employee in that regard.
So I have to ask, David, was it a workforce management slanted kind of software for the bank?
No, it was a risk management. It was how do banks price risk in the pricing of the various types of instruments, and how do you allocate capital, abide by the BIS guidelines, and do kind of pricing across the entire relationship. Surprisingly, not many people I think know. That I actually come out of more of a quant background. Workforce management and HCM is something I just fell across.
So now I have to blow our schedule out. So how did you even get into workforce management? Why didn't you stay in risk? There's much more money to be made there than with this difficult scheduling and other stuff and HR stuff. I mean, banks have more money for capital management than for HR software.
So, my history is I start off and I was a very young kid. I was just out of college and I had sold this risk management system to one of the big banks in Canada, the CIBC. And I went off to business school, and at business school, all of the job offers I was getting was in strategy consulting around banking. And I didn't really want to become a strategic consultant. I tried it for a summer and it just wasn't for me. It goes back into that, not a great employee.
Can't wear t-shirts in the sea, right?
Yeah, and at the same time, my dad, who I really admire, had a number of businesses. One of them was in workforce management in Southern Africa. And him and his partner had built the solid state device to do access control and time and attendance, really across industry, across mining in that particular region. And it was a small company, about 5 people, and they were making about $5 million of cash profit per year. And I thought, hey, wow, this could be a great idea. So in my final half year at business school, I called out to 550 different organizations in the Massachusetts area. And I surveyed them as to, hey, what would you look for in a workforce management system? What are you currently using compared it to the tech being used in that region to the tech being used in North America? And found that the tech had actually leapfrogged North America for a bunch of different reasons. So when I graduated, I deferred one of these strategy positions, and off I went to South Africa, and I sat there for about 6 months, and I learned the hardware and I rewrote the software, and I brought that back to North America in about 93. And that company grew like wildfire. Huge customers like Toyota and Michelin, Schneider, Siemens, and that company was sold in 97 to a Japanese company.
Right.
And then, as you know, I moved over to another workforce management company before starting Dayforce and such. So that's how I landed into it.
Wow.
Yeah. Because if you're listening to this and if you're looking at workforce management scheduling, there's a high chance that David has his fingers in the system.
He's written something right? in there. I love it.
You can't escape an OSIP system, right? Like three times workforce management. Yeah.
We're now working with one of the airlines. And the system we're replacing is a system that I wrote in 97.
Oh, God. Were you like, oh, boy, sorry.
That was my reaction.
You need somebody who knows that. Excellent.
That's awesome. Right. That's awesome.
Your turn, David. Ask a question.
Okay. I'm going to go back to Holger over here. What inspires you and inspires others? By the way, I would have no idea how to answer such a question.
Good. You picked wisely, right? How to inspire? Well, what inspires me is making a difference, right? So if I know I made a difference, doesn't matter if it's personal or if it's professional, whatever, you know that you've done something good that day. And if I know somebody did something where I have to think 2-3 times or gave me a new perspective, I really appreciate that. And that only happens a few times a week without trying to sound arrogant or whatever, but we hear a lot of repetitive stuff all the time. But those are the golden moments, right? Where you know something, you learn something new, right? Like today, how did David also get into workforce management, right? So very good.
By being a bad employee. That's what I'm going with. That's my summary of all of that, by the way.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to go with the deserted island one because it's a classic, right? Which 3 things would you take on a deserted island, David?
Is there power on the island?
All right, we'll give you power. There's power.
Hey, I'm taking my trainer. I'm taking my bike trainer, my Wahoo Kicker trainer. That's one, and I'm assuming that I can get Swift and I can have like some form of screen.
We'll give you internet, water, food, and all that.
This certain island is getting fancy.
But so that's one. 2 has to be my family.
Okay.
Right, and then the third one, that's an interesting one. So I've got my family, I've got the bike thing. I probably would take my gravel bike.
Okay. So they didn't ask us to travel on the island. Okay, perfect.
Okay. No, I'm sure I can ride on something like that.
Yeah, there's something.
Very good.
Okay, we got our last category to wrap us up here.
Great. What have I missed here? I have got the hobbies. Okay, so I'm going to ask this one question, which it is an obvious answer to it at this particular time. And Liz, I'm going to give you a hint. The right answer would have been appropriate as of yesterday. What is your favorite sports to watch on TV?
Oh, gosh.
There is a right answer to this question.
There is a right answer to this question. Okay, so I will say that I do enjoy watching football and not the American kind. Well, I do like watching the American kind, but what I do really enjoy watching, I do watch a lot of soccer. I don't watch as much as Holger, because Holger will watch it, like, he'll have like 19 different games going at the same time, but then if AC Milan's playing, everyone else is ignored. But yeah, I do. And then he flashes his jersey and his kit. But yes, I do. Soccer is up there. I will say that hockey comes kind of after that. So football and hockey are my top 2 things to watch on TV.
The Canadian,
like every good California girl says. Okay, David, let's see. What is the skill or hobby that you had as a kid that you've forgotten as an adult?
Liz, I'll say that I was, completely unqualified, unskilled at almost everything. So, so I can't say I was a great soccer player, cricket player, basketball player. I'm going to kind of write.
Your ears and your nose are intact, so I know you didn't play rugby.
Yeah. So, later on, I became a bit of a wrestler and a bit of a runner type of thing. I don't know if there's much of a skill set in running other than kind of putting one foot in front of the other, right? And, if you can kind of walk, hopefully you can walk quickly and you can kind of run. So I don't know if there's a skill on that. Academically, that came a lot later on. Wasn't that strong in the early years. So I would have to say not much carries.
That's okay. Well, then let me ask you this. I'm going to ask the bonus question of favorite snack when you were a kid.
A Kit Kat.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, and
see, that's
everyone
a good one.
who knows me kind of works with me. They know if they want something, they lead with the Kit Kat.
That's the stress food. You bring in the Kit
David
Kat.
a Kit Kat,
I like it. I like
Starts
it.
with a C too, right? Kit Kat? No, just kidding.
No, K. God, Holger, stop renaming
Yes,
things.
yes.
Goodness gracious. Hey, David,
Perfect.
thanks so much for coming in and being part of the Salon 50. It has really been so great to get to know you, and I hope people now know it's okay not to necessarily be the best employee. You just got to be the fastest.
Most persistent, Liz. Most
The
persistent.
most persistent.
And build
Exactly.
the hard
And
stuff,
don't
right?
take no as an answer.
Don't take
take
no.
no.
Don't take no, but always bring a Kit Kat.
That's right.
Thank you, David.
Lead with optimism.
Love it.
Thank you, David.
Love
Really
it.
appreciate
Holger,
it. Thanks
there's
for
always
coming
fun
on.
to be with you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Cheers,
David.
guys. Bye-bye.
Well, Holger, episode 50. We're done.
Then we can.
We're going to turn over episode 51 to our fabulous and far less silly. I mean, they really keep it together. They're
Serious.
buttoned up.
Our serious
They're
colleagues.
serious.
Yeah.
Our serious colleagues, our newsworthy colleagues, Doug and Diane. They're going to come to you with episode 51. Please do not miss when that episode drops. But until the next time we get to see you, thanks for following us. You can always follow us on Twitter at CRTV Show. Yeah, TCRTV. Oh, God, I don't even know what our own Twitter handle is, but just try to follow us either place.
Exactly.
We'll see you someplace. Later, guys.
Okay.
Here comes our cacophony of sounds that Hannah gets to put in the bloopers. CRTV with Holger and Liz. We normally don't have a lack of bullshit to talk about.
2023 is still the year where I haven't mastered the art of the bun. I had my hair cut for the first time in almost 3 years.
But how
I was
much?
strongly advised by a German hair professional that for the better health of my long hair, it's about time to take. Now you're going to be
You
confused.
gotta trim up a little.
5 centimeters off. Show me 5 centimeters, Liz.
I just don't like the virtual background or the blur because it kind of like cuts off. It like cuts very close to your face, so you lose like all of your hair.
All of a sudden, like my headphones will be gone, so it'll just look like I'm just wearing like this. And I'm like, well, that
Yeah.
looks stupid.
Hannah's wearing a bun too. It's an infection. It's spreading. It's 2023 and we're still talking about hair care. I'm so excited.
It's 2023. We're going to talk. We should have a whole CRTV special edition. CRTV, the hair show.
Look, and
Fun
boom,
fact,
folks, this here just
we all
happened.
have-
Liz and
yeah,
me
we-
extended
the
the advisory
skincare.
for
I'm telling you, I
hair
worked
care.
for way too many years in professional skincare and had to research. I can do vitamin supplements. I can do skincare. I
Hey,
can
don't
do
spoil the
skincare
beans.
analysis.
Hey, we just doubled from
do it
hair
all.
care to skincare. Don't mention what else is in the pipeline, okay?
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, no.
Yes. Hair care and
Right.
skincare with Liz and
Right.
Holger in 2023.
Exactly. It's like you can book us for an hour, and for 30 minutes we'll talk to you about your technology, and for 30 minutes we'll talk about your personal health routine. It's
Yeah.
really gonna talk about work-life balance. Holy crap!
Exactly. Work-life balance. No more advisory without personal care tips, right?
Right. Holger can tell you what type of weird body roller or massaging implement you can take with you
What's
on
the right
global-
workout? Diet change. I'm big on diet change. I've
Diet
over a
change.
quarter of
Holger went vegan.
plus under my belt. Yeah.
We got a lot of stuff that we can pack into an advisory. And now
So
that
much
Hannah's doing
potential.
sizzle reels for everybody, we just got a whole new line of stuff that we can do. So I have to look up the news real quick. Look at that, Holger.
Ooh. I can feel the bubbles.
Right. It's like champagne.
Yeah.
I have found that the only thing that I intend to use it for is to have it write all of my leave me the F alone, I don't want to buy your stupid thing responses to everyone who sends me emails or LinkedIn messages about things I can buy from them. But I'm thinking that I should respond to them only using ChatGPT generated text. And the request that I'm going to put to ChatGPT is, please provide a response to a incompetent sales rep who is selling me something I absolutely do not want, and make the reply sarcastic and a little bit mean. My sales pitch, because I said, how could I respond to an unwanted sales pitch in the most ironic and sarcastic way? And the response it gave me was, oh, I'm sorry, I don't have any money. I spent it all on my solid gold toilet. What are 3 of the worst email subject lines used in a sales pitch? Number 1, congratulations, you've been selected for a special offer. Number 2, urgent, limited time only. And 3, you're missing out on thousands of dollars. Like, they're pretty damn accurate.